in to be able to work in Lightning Web with Lightning Web Components. Whenever you need to display or operate on some list of data, then these functions will be very useful to perform some operations. So like there are so many functions for array. So like if you want, you can go and check on this particular link for let me share that in chat so you can check that later. So there are around like 20 to 25 array functions available in JavaScript, but I'm covering like 6 functions here, which I think will be most useful working with Salesforce data. And let's get started. So the first function that we are going to learn today is array.prototype.map function. So what this function does is, let's say you have an array of integers and you want to create another array and you want squares of that integers in that array. So what you can do, you can pass a function inside the array method, the array dot map method, and that function will perform some operation on each element of array, and it will create a new array from that original array. So in our example, what we can do is, let's say from list of integers, I want to get list of their squares. Okay, so what I can do is I can call array.map function, and I can pass some method which will actually calculate the square for that particular number, and that will return a new array which will be the square of which will contain all the squares of those elements. So let us see that in action. So here uh, we are using web components.dev. So this is online code environment for web components. So this is not connected to Salesforce, and also uh, this is just for a demo purpose. Like if you have some idea in mind and you want to check if that is or you want to share some code that is built on Lightning Web Component stack, then you can create those that code here, and you can share that with your colleagues and your friends, and you can share that over internet. You can also post that on GitHub. So basically this is very similar to the playground that we have, but the playground is soon going to be retired. So so whenever I have to do something, like I have to do some kind of POC using Lightning Web Components, what I do, I come here, I do the code, and I save it to my GitHub, so that whenever that I will need that, I can go to my GitHub account and I can get the code. And also I can share this with anyone whenever required. So this is Web Components dev. So right now for Lightning Web Component, they don't have so many features, but it worked just fine. Okay, so we'll create one array. Okay, let's say we have these elements. Uh, okay, and so what I'm going to do is, I have list of integers which is stored in array. I'm going to call array.map function. Okay, So the map function takes another function as an argument. So I can say that function as number. Okay, I'm going to use the arrow function here, and what I can do is return number into number. You can perform any operation here. So for the demo purpose, I am using array.map, and remember that this does not change the original array. Original array will be the same, it will return new array. Okay, so what we are going to do is let us display both of the element. First we will display the array. I'm using I must define the key inside the iterator, so I will just define the number as key. Okay, so we have this original array. Okay, and like we have it here 2 3 4 5 6 7. So what we are going to do is we are going to result of array dot map. Okay, and this will be, so I'm creating another variable with get function which will return the square of all the numbers inside that array. Okay, and see, so here we have this original array where we have the original numbers. So remember, as I said, this does not change the original array. So whatever we have in this array property will remain the same, but here we are creating a new array which is this. And like I said, you can perform any operation. Let's say you want to add something. Let's say you want to add 100 in all of those elements. So what I can do is I can add number plus 100. So the result of array.map, I will get number, I will get those numbers. Now let's see what we can do if the array is an array of objects. Okay, let's say let me what we're going to do is prop one a, okay, and prop two. Let's say let's do just for property one. Okay, I'm creating a list of an array of objects. Okay, here I'm going to do a b c. Okay, then here I can add property to maybe some number. Okay, let's call this property one as ID. Assume that you have Salesforce records and you have list of those records, and what you need is you want to get the list of ID from that. So I'll define new function list of IDs. Okay, here what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this is an object obj, and I can just say here I'll just return obj dot id. So what this is going to do is it will extract, you can extract any property. So like here I'm extracting id, but you can do this for any property. Let's say I can also say like property 2 here, and this is not limited, like even here you can perform some operation, or you can as you can add multiple lines here. Like if you have some code like complex logic, you can add those lines as well. So for the demo purpose, we are just going to okay, so list of IDs, and here obj, and what we're going to do is obj dot id. Oh, this will be id. This will be the id itself. Okay. Okay, and here what I'm going to do is item dot id and item dot, what was that, property 2. Okay, and id, and this I will change to, let's say, object. Okay, so here we have this data id equal to and prop 2 equal to this. Now here, if we can see the result of array.map, we just have IDs here. Okay, so we extracted IDs from the array. Okay, so next function is array.prototype.find. So let's say you have list of objects and you want to find some object. So find A. So what you can do is, if I want to search like at this dot, let's say I want to find element in this particular array where id is equal to b. What I can do is array this dot array dot find, and here I have to uh, pass the function array function, oh sorry, arrow function. So I will say object, or say element is equal to where element dot id equal to, say, b, and it should be b. And what we can do is we can just display this here, find prop. Okay, um, array dot element Actually, we need to add null check here. Template if true. Find B. Okay. So we didn't get anything. Something's wrong here. Find B. Array dot find element is equal to B. Array dot find. Okay, find B is we are missing the return statement. Okay. See here we tried to search the element B. Let's say if we change that to C, we'll get the element C here. And in this similar way, we have another function which is find index. So this function does not return the element in itself, but it returns the index of the element. Okay, so this we can directly display here. It's not find indexed actually. See, so this is the index. Index is equal to 2 because we are searching C. Let's say I tried A, then it should return 0. Even we can check this. Let's say property. So it will return me 0 because this should return the first element. And let's say if I change this, it should return number 2. Okay, so we then the next function is array dot prototype dot reduce. Okay, so I don't remember the syntax. Let's check that. Okay, so here where is our function? Yeah, let's erase all of this. Maybe we can start with new array of elements, array of numbers equal to 2 3. Okay, so we have this this array, and let's define the reduce function. So let me tell you first. So what reduce function do? So reduce function executes a reducer function. So you can define whatever the function you want, and so what does is it accumulates the array and it's provide a single result. It does not return an array, it just return a single value. So let's say you have list of elements where you want to find average, or you want to find addition of all elements in the array. Then we use this array dot reduce method. So array dot reduce function is generally and widely used in validation while writing validations in Lightning Web Component. So where we have list of elements and we want to validate that, and even if one of the element is not valid, then it should return false. So let me show you that example. Okay, this is not it. Actually using reduce. Yeah, here. So this also work in Aura components. So here is that function. So what it does is checks the validity of all the functions in element. So it it finds all elements and then it runs reduce function all of those elements. So let's say there are 5 fields and all of them are valid, then it will check if one by one that if every input fields are valid, and so it will just do and so if any one of them is false, then it will stop there and it will return false. So let's let us do the addition here. So where is the function? Okay, get addition. Okay, maybe I'll do something simple. So I can just 10, 20, and do it limited number of elements and 20. Okay. So it's not necessary to use get. I'm using just to uh, show. You can even define any different property, or you can even use that in any other function. Like let's say if I have handle click function, so you can also use that inside that function. So it's not limited like just for getters. Okay, so what we are going to do is we're going to do return this dot array of number dot reduce, and here, okay. so so here we have the producer function. So let us display that array of numbers. Okay. Okay, so we have these numbers to add, and let's display the addition here. Okay, so here we get the addition. So 10 plus 20 plus 20. Even we add, let's say we add 50, 50, then 20. So we get the addition. So here, this is the reducer function. where we have accumulator and the current value. So the accumulator is nothing but the result that is going to be returned at the end of these calculations. So this method iterates through all of the elements and perform this operation. Okay, and this accumulator is collecting all those values, and that will be returned at the end of the execution. So that current value is nothing but the current element in the array. So each time this will be like 10, 20, then 20, then 50, and 20. And the accumulator will be the addition of the all number before the current element from the array. So this you can also use on the objects. You just, so let's say if you have an object, an array of objects, then so you can refer those properties. Let's say, let's assume that that this array is an array of objects, then you can ref you can refer the object properties in the similar way. Like this is my current element in the array, so you can just refer the any property by doing the dot notation. So even if, let's say, you have list of accounts and you want to calculate the sum of revenue field in all of the accounts, then so you can do that. Like, let's assume that if this is an array of accounts, and this will be the current count. Okay, and so what I can do is I can do accumulator. So accumulator will be uh, 0 for like initially. So whatever the type of the element that we are adding into the array, it will get that accumulator's default value based on that. If it is an object, then it will take the default value as an empty object. If it is number, it will take default value as 0. So here, like, we can do like this account dot revenue, and so we can get the addition of all of the revenues fields in from the list of accounts. So this was the array dot reduce. Then the next function is okay, array dot splice. So this method is very interesting, and where is our code? Okay, so let's say we have this array of numbers, and we have these elements, let's say 20, 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50. So what I want to do is I want to insert element after 30. So how can I do that? So that we can do with the splice function. We can insert another array at a particular location inside the array. Okay, so let me first display this array. Okay, we have that, and we'll call it new array after splice. Okay, I copy this, and we'll name that new array as new array spliced get new spliced array. Okay, and here, let's say I want to insert 35 after 30. So what we can do is, and this method actually, change the original array. Unlike the methods we saw like array.map and array.reduce. So those methods does not change the original array, but this method is going to change the original array. So for that, I think we'll need one button so that we can do that using function lightning button. Splice. Okay, and on click do splice. So we should be able to see the change in the original array. And we'll define one function here, do splice. And what we need to do is we want to do this dot. Okay, and so this method takes where is also array.splice. So this method actually have 4 different parameters. Yeah, there is some question. Do we always need to pass 2 parameters in reduce method? Yes, we always need to pass 2 parameters in the reduce method, and that is so you just need to define the name of that attribute and the name of that parameter, like we did here. Where was that? Oh, I erased that. So if we go to the reduce method, so like as we are doing an addition here, so we need something to store that addition. So what it does is it goes through all the elements of array, and so first it will come to 1, it will add 1 to accumulator, so it will be 1. Then when it will come to 2, so it must have all the addition done before coming to this particular element, so that is stored inside this accumulator. So when it will come at third element in the array, it will again get the accumulator and it will add the current element. So you need to pass that, so you can refer that here, right? So you need to do something with that particular accumulator, and that's why you need to define both of the elements. And this reduce method actually internally automatically passes those elements. So and the names of these elements you can give as per your preference, but remember that first element is the accumulator and the second element is the current element in the array. I hope that answers your question. That was question from Rajat. Nice question actually. Where we are? Okay, so array dot, so we were looking at the splice method. Okay, where are the arguments? Okay. Yeah, so sorry, I said 4 elements. Actually, we need only 3 elements. So the first of element is the index where you want to insert a new element or new array. So let's say I want to insert it at this position. So I want 30 should be shifted, and I want to add 35 here. Sorry, let's say 25. Okay. So the what is the position of 30? It is 0, 1, 2. So that's why I added 2 here. Okay. And then the second element is, if I want to replace that 30 or I want to delete some of the elements from this particular position, the position that we have mentioned here. Let's say while inserting new array, I want to delete these two elements next to 30. So I can mention that here. But as I just need to insert 25 here and I don't want to delete any element, I'll just mention 0. Okay. Where is our button? I think, let me quickly grab the code for sample button. Okay. This dot array. Okay, something is wrong here. Oh. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to insert 25 before 30. As you can see, this is our original array. And what I'm going to do is I'm calling this splice function. I want to insert that new element at a second position in the array. I don't want to delete anything from that particular second position. So I'm mentioning 0 here, and I want to add this element. So whatever the element that you want to add will go here. So let's see. Okay, now find. So this will not be visible because the arrays are not reactive by default. The arrays are not reactive until their reference is changed. So we need at the track operator decorator here. So now see, we have added 25. Okay. Maybe let me show that to you again. Let's do this. Okay. Maybe we can just hide this code. So we okay. So array. This is array splice demo. So this is my original array. Whenever the component loads, we have 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50. When I do okay, when I do splice, it will shift all the element from 30 down, and it will add 25 there. Okay, so this is one example. And let's say do splice and delete. Now I want to replace 30. I don't want to uh, insert that element. I want to delete, let's say I want to delete 30 and 40, and I want to insert new array in the original array. So what I can do is array.splice, comma, I can define here, let's say 100. Okay, now I want to remove the 2 elements, and I want to add 3 elements. So I can mention as many elements here as well as I want. So let's change this. Okay. So now it will remove 30 and 40. Why? Because we have mentioned 2 here, so it will remove 2 elements from the particular index, and it will add 100, 200 and 300 when we do splice and remove. Okay, assume that you have another array and you want to add that array. Let's define one array, sample, let new array equal to 1 2, let's do 100, 200, 300, 400, 500 and 600. If you want to insert this array, so what you can do is you can use the spread operator and you can mention that array. So in this case, let's insert that at the position of 40. Now I don't want to delete anything, so it will insert this particular array at this position, and it will shift down 40 and 50. Okay, so 40 and 50 we have, and it added the whole new array at that particular position. Okay, now let's move on to the next function, which is shift and unshift. So these methods, these functions are used to add or remove element from the beginning of the array. So let's say you want to remove the first element from array. So let's go to our code, and we'll change this button. Remove first element. Okay, I don't know, I cannot resize this. Okay. Remove first, and we will define another method, another button, which will add first. Add 0 at first position. So for the demo, we're just going to add number 0 on the first position. and it also returns the element that is removed. Maybe just the console. Okay. Let's comment out this one. Something is wrong. Okay. I think we have done something wrong. Okay, so the unshift actually adds the element and shift removes the element. So we are going to see when I do remove first element, it is removing the first element from array. And in this add function, I have done unshift 0, so it will add 0 at the beginning of the array whenever I click that button. So this is shift and unshift. So and there are other methods that I think you should check out, like array.forEach that I think we have looked at um, in some of our previous lectures. And then array.join is one of them. Then array.include is one of them that you should check. Array.includes check um, if the provided element is provided in the array. And then another example is array.filter. So let's say if you want to search any particular element in the array or any particular element based on some condition, then you can use that array.function, array.filter function. Like here, let's say that we have the words, list of words, and we are doing filter where words length is greater than 6, and the result is this. And even we can do a particular element, like let's say word equal to spring. We can find that. Or even if we have list of even if we have list of objects, we can, let's say you have list of accounts and you want to find account based on the ID, and assume that this is list of accounts or array of account, and you want to filter array account based on ID. or maybe some other field. So what you can do is you can provide the ID here, and it will return you the element from that array. So this is the array.filter. There are a couple of there are plenty of other methods that, but that are not very commonly used. Another one is concat, which basically concatenates two array. Like here it is adding EBC and DEF. So that's all about the array methods. And next is very widely used base component from Lightning web component base library, which is Lightning data table. So Lightning data table is pre-built component uh, uh, provided in the Lightning web component library. And if you are already familiar with Aura, it is also available in Aura, and the functionalities are mostly same in both of them. But Lightning, the Lightning data table in Lightning web component have some additional feature, like we can define our custom type. So like we'll come to that in some time. So what it does, it actually displays data in tabular format, and it also provides the formatting for some of the data types, like numbers, currencies, then texts, phone numbers, then dates, then links. So whatever the information that we are going to display on table can be formatted based on some conditions. Then infinite scrolling of rows, like we can do lazy loading on that. So like whenever you scroll down, it will load more data. So inline editing, we can edit the records inline from the table itself. Then we have header actions. The header action are the actions at the column level. So you can let's say you want to uh, perform some action on all elements of that particular column, then you can do the header action. So the common example of header action is sort method. So you can sort the elements in array based on a particular column. Then row level action, let's say you want to delete some row from the table, then in that case you can use the row level actions, or you may want to edit that, or you may want to perform some other condition, or you may want to open that particular row in a separate page. So that for that we have this row level actions. Then resizing of columns, so the column width we can resize by dragging the column icon, and we can also select the rows, and the sorting, we can sort the rows based on some conditions. So let's see one simple example of Lightning data table. So I'm again going to do it here. Okay. Let me define some data here. ID name, then revenue. Let's assume that we have this account information, then XYZ company then PQ PQ or company, then let's assume that it's 1 million, 2 for this, and we want to display this particular information in the tabular format in LWC. So this is my data. I want to display on the data table. Okay. Okay, and I want the key in the similar way, like we require to provide key in the iterator, and for the data table also we need to provide the key field. That key field is internally used by the framework to manipulate or identify a particular row in the data table. And so there are three major inputs that we need to provide, and these are must, like key field, then data, the actual data, and the columns definition. So what we enter the column definition. So as you can see, so we have ID, then we have name. So the ID is of type text, name is of type text, and revenue is of type number. So I want to define this information on the table. Calls equal to, what I can do is I can define one array where field name, here I need to provide the name of the field like ID, and then label. So this is the label of the column, and this field name is the field from where we are going to display the data in that particular column. And then next one is name, and label is going to be, let's say, company name. And I have the third element. I'll just take 5 more minutes, not more than that. So rest of the things we can discuss in the next session, which will be our last session, where we are going to conclude the project that we have built, and rest of the things that you can do on your own. Okay, field name. Oops. Revenue. And by default, the type of column is text. Here, I want it to be currency. And this columns, I can define here, columns equal to. So I have defined one constant here, global constant, and where I refer that. So if you can see, we have got the data. So if you can see that, as I have mentioned the currency here, it automatically formatted the currency, and the default currency symbol is dollar. We can also change that, and mostly the Salesforce will automatically display this based on the configuration of the particular logged in user. And let's say I want to give user ability to edit the field. I can say editable true. So I can edit those values as well. Here, and I get the save button when I save. Okay, I guess we need to handle that. Okay, so this is how we can edit And we can also define the row level actions. Like we can get this. So these are the checkboxes. Let's say you have list of records and you want to perform some operation on a particular list, then you can do that. So I have selected these 3 records. If let's say I want to put value 1000 in all of the record, I can just check this checkbox and update, so it will automatically do that for all of the records. And as you can see that I have mentioned editable here, so that only this field is editable. So like similarly to this, we have dates, numbers, phone numbers, different types of data types, which we can display and it will be formatted. Like these are the header level actions where we can define the sorting logic for a particular column. And that you can find all the information on the documentation page of the Lightning Web Component stack. So that is it for the today's